What is your guess? I can't go into that store ever again story. Went to a pizza place to pick up an order. Was handed the food and said, "Thank you, sir." The response was, "My name's Tiffany." Had to send my wife in to get the food until Tiffany didn't work there anymore. I got a gym membership for the first time recently. A lot of the machines are pretty self-explanatory, but I've never used a lot of them, so I have no idea what I'm doing. So a few weeks ago I'm trying out the endless stair machine, and in front of me is a guy on a machine working his arms, like making circular pedaling motions. I thought, I could do my arms too. So I take the machine next to his, set the timer for 10 minutes. Just circling away. I finish my 10 minutes and look down by the seat to see handles. It was a leg machine. I sat there for 10 minutes in front of the entire gym. God, and everybody circling my arms like a lunatic. I mean, I'm still going back because I paid for it. But I'm not going to look anyone in the eye there ever again. Not a store, but a public library. We're at the counter, and the librarian is scanning the books we've selected. She was generously sized. My little brother, 4 or 5 at the time, tugs my mom's shirt to whisper something in her ear. He was rather new to the concept of whispering. He put his hand up to shield his lips from the librarian. Despite all this, he says about the librarian at standard speaking volume, "Hey mom, why ever notice how fat that lady is?" Asterisk. Mom tried to play it off by saying something akin to, "He thinks it's okay to say it to others cause he says it to me. But my mom's not fat." It did not work. We used to go there every day when my mom didn't want to have to hire a babysitter to watch us during the summer. She'd bring us to her office and let us walk across the street to the public library to play games on their Windows Vista PCs. Or just read books. She'd always come to pick us up when she was done with work. She started looking for babysitters soon after. Back when I was getting married, I was sick as a dog, and my soon-to-be bride insisted we go shopping for the wedding invites. Went into this pretty higher-end shop and really felt ill, and not just at the prices. Asked one of the workers if they had a restroom I could use. Long story short, took a massive smelly diarrhea dump. Clogged the toilet and they had no plunger to fix it with. Even though I only flushed once, the toilet kept running and it started to overflow. Rushed out. Closed the door. Grabbed my bride by the arm and just said, "We gotta go." I was with a group of friends in a very quiet store. We were slowly leaving one by one through the double glass doors. One of it was closed and the other stayed opened. I somehow thought the closed door was opened and vice versa. So I walked smack into the middle of the closed glass door. My face was imprinted on it. I guess my face was very oily. My friends and the shopkeeper came rushing to see if I was okay, and all marveled at my squashed face imprint. I left quickly. Every time I walk past that shop I make sure I am looking down or at the other side in case the staff recognize my face. While at the till at the convenience store paying for my lunch, the girl behind the counter asked if I wanted to go for a drink. Being married, I made my apologies hastily, pointing to the ring on my fingers. To which she replied that my lunch was a meal deal and would be cheaper with the drink. My girlfriend fist bumped the clerk when he was actually reaching to grab a paper we had just signed. Anyway, we don't go to that tar kingdom anymore. Went on a first date with this girl to a new restaurant in town. She proceeded to get sloppy drunk and made a huge scene. From the classic could not control the volume of her voice to insisting on trying to show me and some other gentleman nearby what kind of underwear she had on, while loudly insisting that she's a good girl though. The server we had seemed to get that I was not a willing part of this, but I was so mortified there's no way I'd ever go back. Do barbershops count? Decided to get a haircut whilst having a cold. Sneeze and farted at the same time. Never went back. Oh god. I finally have a reason to share this story. One of the first jobs I had. I approached my boss in his office to discuss a report. As I was standing near him, he was sitting in his chair reading the file on his desk. I felt a sneeze come on. Knowing that I didn't have time to grab a tissue, I just turned away from him. However, the sneeze held off but the gas in my stomach did not. I crop dusted the poor man. Embarrassed, I whipped my body back around to face him and the centripetal force of my motion must have knocked my sinuses loose. I sneezed upon completing the spin but was in too much shock to cover my face. I gave my boss both an aura of noxious soda and mucus spewed across his face. I had all over the floor of a toy store when I was a toddler. My poor dad was mortified. But the staff were very nice about it. The store's closed now, which really sucks. I don't think I actually remember the name of the place. Edit. Thanks for all the suggestions as to what the store's name might have been. It was actually an independent toy store. Not a big chain like Toys R Us, which is still open in Canada. I did some searching on the Wayback Machine last night and found out that the store's name was It's All Fun and Games in Vancouver. If you worked there, sorry for eyeing all over your floor. I was in a souvenir shop in London, England. With all these knickknacks and whatnot, I bumped a shelf that had a bunch of models of Big Ben. And like 6 or 7 of them fell off the shelf and broke. I offered to pay for them, but the employees blew it off. I guess minimum wage workers don't care enough about their actual company policy. Thankfully, I was grateful. And now I will never return to that particular store. I sat on a Target shelf and the entire row of shelves crashed down onto the ground. I'm at a coffee shop. Have a glass of coffee in front of me. Filled to the top. That is almost overflowing. I raise my hand to get the waitress' attention because I want to order something else. I accidentally whack the out of the glass. This sends it flying across the room where it hits the waitress on the thigh and gets coffeeing everywhere. Felt bad. So I left and never went back. You know how in department stores when they have one of those display bathrooms they have that piece of plexiglass that goes across the toilet that says something along the lines of not a real toilet. Don't be an idiot and pee in this? Those barriers didn't exist in the 80s when I was a young kid. Mum looked up and saw me with my panties off, holding my dress above my waist and sprinting for the toilet. She did not catch me in time. Edit. Thanks so much for my first silver. I'll tell my mom and maybe it will help to ease a bit of the embarrassment and shame this event caused her. I tripped up over my shoelace and crashed into a shelf and broke it. The manager chased me out of the store. Edit. A friend was getting married and asked me to make her wedding dress. We went to a fabric store to check out our options and get swatches. She asked to use the shop's bathroom. A few minutes later, she walked out quickly and whispered to me, "We need to get thee out here now." Turns out she had explosive diarrhea and absolutely destroyed the bathroom. Neither of us have been back. I went to buy groceries almost daily. Always in the same store. Most of the time only one checkout lane was open and there was always this really friendly older lady there. She would always make small talk with me and compare me to her son. After a few years of this I moved a bit farther away, but never told her. So I just didn't show up anymore. Now I won't ever go back there because I feel ashamed I didn't tell her and just abandoned her. I'm sure she would be happy to see you again. Not a store but a Mexican restaurant. I went to use the bathroom. It was one of those single occupancy rooms with a locking door. Well, the door wasn't locked and due to what I can only describe as the worst timing ever I saw none other than my waiter's dick. I was kinda shocked so I looked up and we made eye contact for a second. I just went back to my table and didn't say anything for the rest of the meal. Even as my friends were asking what happened. I eventually told them and it's now one of my classic stories. But yeah, I can't ever go back. We got a nail cooked into our pizza. Not a fingernail. A construction nail. I went into a local beauty products store. Everything is made locally by artisans. It's all very eco-conscious blah blah. I had never been in before. And I was looking for a serum or cream to help minimize eye wrinkles. I found a product one of the salespeople talked up, Small 0. 75 ounces bottle. Then went to the counter to pay. That'll be $135.50. Said the salesperson. Oh hell no. Haha. No. No. No thank you. I don't care about my eyes that much. I blurted out before I even knew what I was saying. I turned on a heel and left the shop and never went back. It's been 6 months. In 1983 at age 17 I went into a pharmacy. I bought something and somehow I was given 50p too much change. I didn't say anything and left. To this day I've still not gone back. I have felt guilty ever since. I was in Walmart and had to readjust, so I kindly just shoved my hands down the front of my pants. While the vet tech from the vet's office I took my dogs to walked by. Making eye contact with me. Never saw him again after that. When I was 10 me and my mother were at Kmart school shopping. I was trying on clothes in the changing room when all of a sudden I really had to fart. 7-11 down the street from me sold me spoiled milk multiple times, so I complained. She said it spoiled in the car ride home. 5 minutes way. In the dead of winter. Huh? My partner and I were out for dinner. Suddenly she looked at me and said she had to go to the bathroom. She jumped up and at that moment projectile vomited all over the table. Running to the bathroom she carried on vomiting all over the floor. After about 10 minutes I get a text from my partner to come to the bathroom. I knocked on the door, was a single bathroom, and she opened it and politely informed me she had defecated herself from the force of throwing up. Oh my. After she'd done what she could to clean up the bathroom, we had to walk through a party of employees mopping her vomit up whilst my jacket around her waist. I paid the bill and swiftly left. We got in the car and never looked back. I quite liked that restaurant. And now we can never step foot in it again. I walked into a shop near my house. Picked up a 6-pack. And walked straight out the door again. Well. Until I was stopped by security. I was so sure that I had paid for that beer. But my friends confirmed that I had not. My fiance and I stopped at a local restaurant 2 days ago that were offering a great deal for a pitcher of beer. I wasn't even planning drinking but couldn't say no to such a great price. It took me a very long time to finish by myself and I got pretty drunk and slowly turned into a very chatty catty. Halfway though a very long story I was telling, my partner whispered, "I think they are waiting for us," and motioned behind me. It turned out the restaurant closed an hour ago and every staff member was sitting quietly at the bar patiently listening to me going on about nothing. I lost sleep that night from embarrassment. Asked the waiter why they didn't serve sushi. Came home to find it was a Chinese restaurant. In my defense, I was a teenager. Growing up, I had horrible separation anxiety. One time, in a neighboring city, me and my parents stopped at a restaurant to get something to eat. After eating, I got up to go to the bathroom assuming at least one of my parents would wait at the table for me. Unknown to me, my mom went to the bathroom after me and my dad had walked out to pull up the car to pick us up at the door. I came out before my mom did and didn't see them at the table. This led to a massive meltdown. Out at a buddy's property in Indiana when I got no toilet anywhere on his land, so I head to the little area down the road. There is a disgusting gas station and a diner there. I go into the diner and the hostess tries to seat me at a table. I explain I just need to use the bathroom, but she tells me that's only for paying customers. I look at her on desperation and say stack of pancakes, and so I don't my pants. Took a dump and left out the back door. Guess I can't go back there as I'm probably known as the pancake pooper. The Flayojack farter. When I was a little kid I was hiding from my mum inside all the clothes racks and I found this really good spot. Found out my stalker worked there. I got kicked out of a bar because I insulted the bartender for her inability to properly read my very valid ID when I was 21. She said you should get a new ID and I said you should get new glasses. Then she told me to finish my drink and leave. Edit. Also, I was trying to joking with the cashier saying I was a shopaholic. I accidentally said instead I'm an alcoholic. She tried making me feel better by telling me about a girl that found her DLDO in her purse. There's a really great deli where I grew up. So I took my husband there to try it. It's usually obscenely crowded and they can be kinda slow making the food, but it's worth it. We ordered 2 sandwiches under Trene Mike and we moved to the side to wait. After only a minute or 2, they called Mike. I was like, wow, that was the fastest I've ever seen here. Took the sandwiches and sat down and we opened them up. One of them was pretty close to what we ordered but not exact, and the other was completely wrong. We figured they screwed up the order somehow, but we'd just eat it without complaining. As I'm taking a bite, I hear them call order for Mike. That was our correct order. The original Mike whose order we were eating was standing there waiting. We told the workers and the guy and apologized for the confusion, and everyone was visibly annoyed, but they just told us just take your food and keep the ones you accidentally took. So we got 4 sandwiches for the price of 2. But we could never show our faces there again. A guy at a collectibles store accused me of stealing a 25-cent rubber Statue of Liberty figurine when I was 12. I argued with him for 30 minutes and then he showed me the security camera footage of me looking at the figurine. When I pointed out that the video didn't actually show me taking it, he said the cameras don't catch everything, and made me turn out my pockets and show him everything in my wallet to make sure I didn't have it. When he saw I didn't have it, he accused me of throwing it in the garbage because I knew I was gonna get caught. I have never been back. I was in college. I had just come from work and was heading for a final exam. As stepped out of my car, my pants pocket caught on something and ripped a 12-inch hole from the pocket, down the butt, and into the taint area. There was no time to go back to my apartment, but there was a Goodwill just off campus. I hustled over there and walked in with my coat conspicuously tied around my waist. To any observer, I was clearly in a hurry and distressed. I beelined it for the men's pants and took the first pair of my size into the dressing room. They fit. So I pulled the tag off and left them on. I headed to the checkout and gave the lady the tag. I'm gonna wear them out. But can I get a bag for these? I asked, holding the wadded up pants I had come in with. She looked horrified. I just pushed through it. As I reached my car again, a realization dawned. She thinks I'm my pants. A guy walked into Kroger, grabbed a roll of toilet paper and wiped his ass in the middle of an aisle. A guy. I mooned a Mexican restaurant. On purpose. Let me rewind. I went to a small Mexican restaurant with some friends. We were having a great time when I noticed that a woman at the only other table was staring at my friend. Now, she has a loud laugh, but it's not that bad. Every time I look over, this woman is staring daggers at both of us now, not our husbands. So, I started messing with her, giving her little air kisses, licking my lips at her. She finally stopped. As we were in the parking lot getting in our car, I looked back at the restaurant and I noticed their entire large table staring out the window at us. The woman gave me the finger. So I pulled my maxi dress up, bent over and mooned the entire restaurant. I can never go back. The owner of the cafe I like to go to recognized me and my order today. So I guess it's time to never go there again. Ever. Was a teenager eating chocolate ice cream and my family stop at the video game rental place. I go in myself and they tell me there is a late fee. I lose it and flip out, telling them they keep charging us late fees when they aren't late. The look on the clerk's face was pure shock. He waived the fees and I left a big man only to get in the car with my family laughing because I have a chocolate goatee from my ice cream. Drove by and saw it was closed down. God. How embarrassing. I don't blame you for never going back. I was leaving New Orleans headed back to Mississippi where I lived at the time. I stopped at a gas station to fuel up and get a snack. I was cordial with the curly blonde hair cashier checking me out but realized she wasn't responding to my statements. I asked her a question and she said nothing. Now I'm paying attention. I looked at her hardened face, pursed lips, and aggressive demeanor, and then it dawned on me. She loved to be nice and cordial with me, but she couldn't because she couldn't see past my skin color. Well, I guess I can't go back into that store ever again. Walked into a women's lingerie shop with my friend by accident. Store clerk very nicely asked me if she could help me find something. My awkward self just went nope, turned 180 and left. Haven't been back since. Clerk. Does my store suck that much? Going to the pool on holiday. Had a lot to drink, dying for her, and had a stonk on. Waistline my cock, but I'm topless and the head of my dick is just poking out. Not sure if anyone ever noticed, but I'm not going back to Spain. There's a liquor store about 2 blocks from my house. I got sick of how easy it was to simply walk over and buy booze. So I asked them to take a screen grab of me from the camera and put it on there. These people stole from us. Do not serve wall. I botched a home hair coloring and decided to call the local salon chain where I had been getting my hair cut for years. They were very understanding over the phone, assuring me that they would take a look at what I did and see if they could fix it by getting it to the desired color, or else see what they could do to restore the natural color. When I arrived, I was the only one in the salon. But after I took my hat off, the staff immediately lost their professionalism and started roasting me. I stayed in the chair for about 5 minutes as they made snide comments about my intelligence, sense of style, and this being the final straw, my sexuality. I finally stormed out and I've never been back. A few years ago I got drunk for the first time in my life with a few of my friends. I ran into a Harvey's and told them I felt like an octopus. Belly flopped on the ground and proceeded to swim on the floor in front of everyone in the restaurant. My friends promptly picked me up and carried me out onto the parking lot. A few minutes later, I managed to break free from them and ran back into the Harvey's and screamed the octopus is back and proceeded to swim on the floor again. Haven't been back since. My friend who started working there says they have a code octopus for whenever they need to remove drunks from the restaurant. So yeah. Used to go to S Corner shop after school for years to buy some sweets. Once I walked in and I saw a couple buy some white powder over the counter. Where is this place? So I can avoid it. It was the late morning after a night of heavy drinking a lot of cheap beer. For me, this usually means a hefty helping of blood mud the next morning, and I was planning on making it back to the old home bowl to unleash. I was with my friend, and we still had to drive about 20 minutes back to my place. About halfway home I can feel some simmering in the crock pot, if you know what I mean. And suddenly my anus gave my stomach the green light and it was time for evacuation. So I flew down the next exit to find a bathroom. I see a Joann Fabrics. Never have I been in a Joann Fabrics in my life, but that poor store was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I did the ass clenching run to the bathroom. Admired how clean it was. Guess not a lot of men go to Joann Fabrics and then destroyed the poor. A mess. Horrible mess. I cleaned up. Bought some crochet needles because I felt bad. And left. Never been to a Joann Fabrics since.